League of Legends. The problem we had already seen was about male esports players. And what we were looking at was the change in testosterone after a competitive e-game. The parameter of interest is the mean change in testosterone after a competitive e-game in the population of male esport players. Then that means we are going to set up our null and alternative hypothesis for that will reflect the stated objective. The objective is to see whether a similar effect exists for esports competition, similar to what men have been found to experience on average an increase in testosterone. And so that means that with this parameter, our null hypothesis is going to be a statement of no effect. So the mean mu in this population is equal to 0, and this is in picogram per milliliter. It's 0 not because we are saying that there is no testosterone. What we're saying is there's no change in testosterone after a competition, an e-game. So no effect, no change on average in this population. And our alternative hypothesis is going to be one-sided, that there is a positive change, that there's an increase, because that is the objective. For esports player, is there, as in other forms of social competitions, an increase in testosterone after a competition? And so that's what we would like to see. Do we have evidence in support of that? So that's what's going to drive our alternative hypothesis. All right, so we're going to do a one sample t-test based on the summary statistics because we do not have the raw data. So we had a sample of 26 individuals. Their sample mean was 1.11 and standard deviation was 15.18. Under the null hypothesis, we said the mean mu, the mean change in testosterone, is 0, and our alternative hypothesis is one-sided in the greater than direction. Those are the summary values, the test statistic, 0.37, and our test p-value, 0.35, so that's 35.6%. So what the p-value tells us is that if the null hypothesis was true, and there was no effect on average of an esport competition like that on testosterone levels in this population, we would expect results like this study to occur in about 1 in 3 studies. So definitely not surprising, which means that the data do not clash with the null hypothesis. Therefore, we cannot reject the null hypothesis. There's not enough evidence to reject it. That doesn't mean the null hypothesis is true. What it means is the null hypothesis is one out of many possibilities. And that's why it is inconclusive. So what's our conclusion? Well, our conclusion is that this study failed to find evidence, and cite your p-value 0.36, that on average, testosterone would increase in a population of male esports players after a competitive game like League of Legends. To really drive that point, remember that last week, when we obtained the confidence interval, we had a confidence interval that ranged from a negative to a positive, which told us that we were 95% confident that the mean change in testosterone level in this population could be anything between -5 and +7.2 picogram per milliliter. So that means that mu, I mean change, could be a negative, that could be a decrease, it could be a positive, so an increase, or it could be 0, no change, which is exactly what inconclusive means.